Hello, Hazuchio here. I recently hit Langrisser rank in Season 3 and had quite the tough match ranking up. This match is special to me because I was at Goal 1 and with 1897 points, 1 win away from Langrisser rank. I was on a 5 win streak and this match was so close that I could have easily lost if not played well. So this is going to be one of my more in-depth match reviews where I go over why I made my choices of the pick and bans, go over how I wanted to play out the match, and what are the win conditions, and finally how I go about achieving these victory conditions in the match itself. So both of us are running standard boxes with 2 tanks and 4 healers. First ban tank is optional unless you have a box specifically built to counter the other tank. So here, both of us first picks tanks. I pick up Luna second. Together with Landius, they can greatly reduce Rachel's single target attacks very well, reducing both ranged damage and magic damage. So that's something I want my opponent to pick up, or something that I don't mind the opponent picking up. So first, I already know this is going to be an annoying match seeing Zarda, Listel, Yulia bans, while my opponent has an extra threat in this Omega. If they bring Knowing Strike that increases their skill on attack, then they will know which units they can ignore guard or even ignore troops. So I go after the 2 healers with the double healer ban that can bring the attack buff for Omega. This ended up not mattering that much considering how I'm basically letting my opponent pick Rachel as said earlier. On my side though, Luna is going to be quite sad not having any princess partners, having all 3 of them banned. So I can look to transition to her single target by bringing Tiaras, Sophia, or Jugler for mass resist or faction buff. Seeing how I still have a Rachel in the box together with the first pick Landius though, I go for that instead since Rachel can now bring Gospel if I bring in Leonhard for Dispel and Stun RNG. So a lot happens here. I get 2 healers banned and I pick up Jugler. This is not a mistake this time. I figured I would have a much better chance going all in fast against my opponent's Omega than let my units be sniped one by one. At the same time, and I am banning Bozel, which can faction buff for Omega as well as drop AoEs for sleep. And the Listel finally now that I'm picking the Jugler. My opponent picks up Rachel for Gospel on the Omega. Then I leave them with a choice between Yusuke and Iris. I figure Yusuke wouldn't be able to punch through Landius all that easily, but they pick up Iris, which makes Omega even more dangerous. Okay, now that we have the team set up here, what is my win condition now? This Omega can definitely kill my Rachel and Liana, and maybe Luna as well with Knowing Strike. The Jugler needs to die as well since they are player 2. Those 2 are the units I need to kill to win. Well, I need to keep all the units capable of killing them alive until the deed is done. Rachel can be ignored as long as Luna and Landius lives, so I have to be really careful with not losing my Luna to Omega. Okay, so let's look at the skills here. For Jugler, I could have brought faction buff for Luna and then brought Luna's Raging Thunder, but I figured my Jugler is going to need all the power he can get to one-shot my opponent's Jugler. All I have to do is find the right opportunity to Beast Shock at full power against their Jugler while theirs is out of water for the kill. Some standard skills here. Liana have summon Sky Archers to help block even more path on this map against Omega. Rachel have these AoEs again, which doesn't do a whole lot to the Jugler, but the debuffs can be annoying to dispel with the Tiaras and Iris healer. And so Luna is on Princess faction buff again, which can at least increase Liana's healing output. On the opponent's side, double single target skills on there's Rachel. Considering how I have Landius, Luna, and Jugler, bring the single target skills with attack blessing at least seems more correct than trying to bring AoE against my Jugler. We have some standard healer skills here. And their Jugler is also on the double guard and beast shock plan. Getting hit by a full power beast shock is something I really want to avoid, especially if this Jugler have attack blessing. So this Omega have knowing strike, which really scares me. My Rachel is dead from a 3 range attack, and Luna dies from the knowing strike. So I have to play really carefully around Omega's range. So I move here with Luna on turn 1. Already we can see what can possibly happen on turn 1. If my Luna gets hit by knowing strike, surely she is going to die. Omega can receive Gospel, attack blessing, and Iris teleport 5 forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just simply move up 3 squares and attack this Luna with knowing strike, and that's a dead Luna on turn 1, or that's some of you might think. Then we look at my team. Jugler can't move up that far, neither can Landius. Rachel is just dead to Omega and I can't use her to block. But Liana's 7 Sky Archers can block any of Omega's attacking routes, either blocking the only square where Luna can be struck by knowing strike, or blocking any one of these paths required to get there. So this map is my one saving grace against the Omega. Sky Archers have a cooldown of 4 turns though, so I have to make a count and get my tanks in key choke points to contain this Omega in. If my opponent does teleport turn 1, then at best it trades for the Sky Archer cooldown. And as we move forward here, Omega just ends up moving forward. So I place my Rachel here because it is out of Omega's attack range. Even if this Omega moves 3 and uses Cold Blood, the most he can move is, well, about here, which is still out of range of my Rachel. So here. Notice how I do not use any of Jugler's guard skills on this first turn. There are a few reasons why. 1. Jugler might end up being too far away from the opponent if I use the guard skills too early. And 2. I want to delay my Jugler's power spike until my opponent's Jugler's water buff falls off. Remember about my first rule of war, engage only when you are strong and when your opponent is weak. That means when you are fully buffed and when the buffs for the opponent are running out. In this case I want to engage when my Jugler can get a fully buffed Beast Shock against my opponent's Jugler out of water. A double guard Beast Shock Jugler attacks with at least 2.8k attack against a 700 to 800 defense Jugler that isn't in water. Good chance to see one shots there if you add a 15 or 20% damage dealt buff to break the opponent's Jugler's last rites. So what should player 2 do with his Jugler instead? You can either delay casting Triton until you see player 1 moves in with their guard skills, or you cast your magic guard first so you have an extra turn of water as you move in towards the middle. Rachel moves in and Gospels the Omega. Now this Omega can definitely one-shot either of Luna or Rachel. So here I drop the Sky Archers and move forward to block for Luna. I move first next turn so I can move in to guard the Sky Archers as my first action. Killing the Sky Archers will take an action out of Omega, which can give me the time I need to move in to secure these key choke points. At the end of turn here, my opponent teleports the Omega forward by 1. Now it is threatening to attack my Rachel. Omega is now out of the magic guard range for Jugler though. So I look at this Omega's magic defense stats, and then look at my Rachel's int. Rachel deals 15% more damage from Landia's faction buff, but Omega have Iris teleport buff, reducing damage dealt by 20%, also dealing 20% more damage, which, if this is on last right, Omega himself takes 40% less damage as well. So my alternative plays are to block the square where this Omega can attack my Rachel by moving in Jugler or Landias right here. Omega can't attack my Rachel anywhere else, and right now it cannot ignore the guard on the Luna without using Knowing Strike. So that's one of the plays. The other play is I can use either of Rachel's AoEs here. The Arcane Blast won't do much if it also hits this Jugler. I did consider using Runic Void on just Omega or something that avoids this Jugler, but against 2 healers and the Rachel, it's not going to do that much since they can just heal up the Omega first and then attack to kill this Rachel for free. So after much consideration, I figured that killing the Omega here will give me the best chances of winning. Rachel can be ignored, then it's just about taking out that Jugler. So Rachel successfully gets the trade on the Omega. That is great for me. Now my game plan shifts to either either block off their entire team in the fog, or kill this Jugler to win. There is an Iris and Tiaras on the opponent's side, so killing the Jugler is my more preferred play, in case this Iris gets some teleports on this Jugler, and which can get it into the middle. Moves in here, guard these Guide Archers. This Landias moves over here, which is just outside of my opponent's Jugler's Beast Rock range. Right now the only unit that is inside the range is the Sky Archers. Now I move in the Sky Archers to control the middle. This also blocks off my opponent's Jugler from using Beast Rock until this Rachel moves. This Jugler have both buffs up, guard buffs up, and has a 20% damage dealt buff. So Beast Rock can threaten to one-shot either of my tanks. A safer play for me would have been just to move everything outside of my enemy Jugler's Beast Rock range. Iris teleport is already used, but I already moved Jugler and Landias outside of this Beast Rock range anyways. It does mean I give up the control of the middle temporarily, but I can take control of it back after the opponent Jugler is no longer at its strongest point. This Luna also have Wind God Realm, which can allow my Jugler to more easily catch up and strike at the opponent's Jugler next turn, or 2 turns later when I have both guards up and when this Jugler is no longer in water. This TRS attack blessings the Rachel. I think the attack blessing should have gone to the Jugler, just to have a guaranteed kill with Beast Rock on any of his targets, but of course I can either just move out, or if that did happen, I would happily run Landius in range to tank it, but Rachel will not do that much. Rachel will not be that much of a threat even with attack blessing when I have Landius and Luna here. So this Rachel attacks the Landius using Dark Reaper. Some damage is dealt, but not enough for me to care about it that much. Also notice how my opponent at the start of this turn moved first. Since I took out his Omega on turn where the Omega still had an action, turn priority is now given to my opponent, which makes my Lianas act again actually useful now. So this Rachel move also opens up his Jugler to Beast Rock. So I move in my Jugler to block my opponent's Jugler from having a Beast Rock target. This also lets me set up my Beast Rock so they can't run away, but more safer play would be to actually just not be inside of this range when they have this Jugler at full power. So this Iris moves away, opening up a spot for his Jugler to attack. I pass turn on this Landius here. I should have actually moved this Landius above Jugler, either of these two squares, just to eat the Beast Rock, just to guarantee that my Jugler can survive the opponent's Beast Rock with full health. Instead, I placed my faith in my Jugler to survive my opponent's Jugler's Beast Rock. So this TRS attacks, just to break Jugler's last rites. Now I move in with Liana, use Act Again on the Jugler. Since this Jugler is my opponent's last action, I can now take 2 actions with Luna and Jugler. So my opponent Jugler uses Beast Rock, drops my Jugler to 1k health. That was way too risky from my side, but I have 2 attacks now, the first from Luna, to break the last rites on my opponent's Jugler, that is no longer in water now, while applying King's Crown to my Jugler. So first attack, breaks last rites, and the second attack coming from my Jugler's Beast Rock. Which gets the trade. So this ended up working favorably in my side. Now I have a Landius and a Luna together that will be unkillable with these 3 magic damage dealers, which wins me the game. So some of you might be asking what I would have done if I didn't use Liana's Act again, and if I still had turn priority. The answer is to not let my opponent's Jugler, not to let my Jugler get hit by my opponent's Jugler, like what happened in this game. Then at the start of turn, I move in with Jugler full power Beast Rock and get my opponent's Jugler that isn't in water. Even with last rites, a Jugler not in water is most probably dead to a fully buffed Beast Rock, and I still have the King's Crown buff from Luna, which can bring up the Beast Rock lethality. So that's all for now. Let me know what you have learned in the comments below to review, and hopefully make these strategies your own. I will see you all next time.